We're at Dongguan, Houjie, one of the birthplaces of Laifen.
For last morning in Dongguan before heading off to Huizhou next door, we're gonna visit another local institution that's been around for ages, Xiguan, which sort of means fragrant and irradiant eatery. Fragrant and irradiant are perfect adjectives to describe the mouth-watering array of roasted meats called siumei in Cantonese or shaowei in Mandarin. If your mouth is watering too, hit that like! Being a carnivore through and through, I'm disposed to order these meats and talk about these meats. We do have such meats at the table, like this siumei combo of pork belly and sausage. We also have roast duck and char siu roast pork in this bowl, or this roast goose. I asked for the goose leg, but unfortunately, the leg for this bird had been sold. I would have to wait for the upcoming goose if I want the leg. Like I said 2 videos ago, the lower body of the goose with the leg is generally preferred over the upper body with the wings. However, we're not here only for the goose. The big bird actually plays a second fiddle in this meal because we've come for something called Laifen.
My Laifen is the roast duck and the char siu roast pork version.
Laifen in Cantonese or Laifen in Mandarin is the type of round rice noodles seen here. Compare Laifen with these bowls of hengli tangfen rice noodles from Huizhou later. Flat rice noodles like guotiao or hefen are made by steaming rice milk, then cutting the resulting sheets into flat strips. The round Laifen is a whole different story. Let me borrow some video clips to illustrate. These come from A Bite of Dongguan, a food documentary backed by the local administration. Rice is washed, dried, ground into powder, mixed into a viscous paste, placed into a device similar to a giant pastry bag fitted with a shower head-like nozzle at one end, then piped into boiling water in a motion called lai, hence the name Laifen. For foreign viewers out there, this might remind you of pasta squeezed from a handheld presser or the Japanese shirataki cognac noodles. Shirataki literally means white waterfall, which seems to be a suitable description of the Laifen rice noodles too, and not only the appearance, but also texture.
Oh yeah, slurp it up. The Laifen is super soft, super smooth, super silky. It's like thick thread of silk.
The character Lai can also mean rapidly flowing water. Some food experts say that's another reason behind the name. Laifen noodles are so slick, they just glide right in. Perhaps this slipperiness is the result of the remainder of the production process. Let me utilize A Bite of Dongguan clips further. After rice milk is piped into hot water and cooked briefly, the noodles are extracted and placed in cold water to wash off any starch residue, preventing the strands from clumping. The Laifen noodles are then kept in cool water and retrieved and quickly boiled when needed. This eatery Xiguan here in Houjie town has been cooking Laifen up the wazoo since years ago. I've heard, but I can't visually confirm if the rice noodles are made in-house. But regardless, our bowls of lip-smacking Laifen have me stoked to try varieties from other areas, which I'll write about in the description section along with Guangxi's zhafen, another type of pressed noodles. However, I should note that among the different versions, the Laifen production technique of Houjie seems to be the only one that has earned intangible cultural heritage status, at least as far as I can tell from the website of the provincial ICH authority, Guangdong Cultural Center.
We're at Dongguan, Houjie, one of the birthplaces of Laifen, another type of rice noodles native to this part of Guangdong province.
Official heritage or not, Laifen is certainly a famous Guangdong delicacy. Back in China, Hong Kong when I was a kid, I remember my dad being a big fan of goose Laifen. But I didn't like it simply because of the name Laifen. Why? The character Lai has yet another usage in Cantonese, to crap or pee in your pants, as in Lai xi or Lai liu. Yeah, I know, silly kid thing. Now I can see why my father likes the Laifen. And I gotta thank a nice local Houjie young lady for recommending yesterday's roast goose restaurant and confirming the worthiness of this restaurant, which she calls one of the big 3 Laifen shops among dozens of others in town. Houjie Laifen is one of Guangdong's big 4 Laifen, and Dongguan is also home to Keyuan, one of Lingnan region's big 4 gardens. That's our destination after the meal. So on we go from intangible to tangible heritage. In a 2009 article in the periodical South Architecture, the author posits that the 3 Keyuan in Suzhou, Beijing, and Dongguan are all tied to a central figure, Qing Dynasty official Liang Zhangzhi. Among the trio, the Suzhou Keyuan is the earliest, which Liang rebuilt and renamed. I actually walked by the Suzhou Keyuan before when I went to the UNESCO World Heritage Changlang Pavilion right across the street. In the future, I shall make plans to visit Keyuan. About 1.5 centuries before me, Wen Yu visited Keyuan. One of Liang's successors in Suzhou, Wen Yu later emulated and built his own Keyuan in Beijing. Liang meanwhile was appointed to Guangxi, where he worked with close friend and fellow Fujian native Lin Zexu in combating the rampant opium problem, which I talked about in my last video. One of Liang's subordinates in Guangxi was Zhang Jingxiu, a Dongguan native who would later construct this Keyuan. Liang and Zhang had a painter friend Zhu Chao, who would later move into Keyuan with his brother Zhu Lian, where they would pioneer the influential Lingnan school of painting under the patronage of Zhang Jingxiu, sort of like how the Medici supported Botticelli, Da Vinci, etc. That's why this Keyuan is renowned not only for architecture, but also its contribution to fine arts.
So after a delicious brunch consisting of Laifen rice noodles and siu mei Chinese barbecue, we are heading off to Dongguan Station to catch a train for Huizhou. But before that, we're making a pit stop here at Keyuan, or the Ke Garden, one of the 4 famous gardens of Guangdong. So this concludes our short trip to Dongguan. See you guys in Huizhou. 再见.